I have to admit, I almost didn't finish these books, but here we are, so let's take a look. So the very first thing we have to do is of course remove the old cover, because I cannot rebind these books while the old cover is on. Well, I can, but we're not doing that today. And let me just tell you, I thought I bought two books of the same size, but clearly I did not buy them. But yeah, I mean, really what we're going to be doing today is just rebinding the King of Scars Duology from the Grishaverse, and I have not read them, and I was planning on reading them once the rebind was done, so we could do a review where I was holding up the rebind, but I don't know if that's actually going to happen, but you'll see why in a second. We just removed the old cover, so we are ready to attach our next cover and finish the text block. It's always funny to me when it comes to head and tail bands, because every time I have to do them, I have to look up, I have to do multiple tries on stuff that's not the books, because I can never remember how to start this shit. I think they are so gosh darn difficult to work with. However, I also think they add so much flair, and I really wanted to go with a red head and tail band design, but I just didn't have any thread, so I went with this copper-ish color with a white color. The white color was to match the paper, and the copper to match the bookmarks that I added. And I didn't show the bookmarks, but the bookmarks are literally just like these string thingies. I don't know what they're called. Just glued onto the back of the text block. Like, that's it. I also wanted those to be red, but I didn't have any in red. Now I do, of course. But yeah, that's literally all. And I am just working my way down with this two color headband. I think two colors look so good. We should try a book at some point with monocolor, but not this time, not this time. Anyways, I am gonna be interchangeably working on King of Scars and Rule of Wolves without really talking much, as so long as it like they look the same, because it's like it doesn't matter. Like, we're doing head and tail bands, they're the same book for that purpose, really. Whereas when we get to actually making the leather covers, they're gonna be looking different, and then we will talk about the uniqueness of each of them. But anyways, that was the head and tail bands. Let's add some red. And by adding some red, I mean of course sanding down the sides of the pages so they are not so smooth, and that makes it easier for the paint to stick once we will make them red. When it comes to painting the edges, the very first thing I did was of course just give them one layer, but the problem is, as we can see, it turns almost pink because when the paint dries, because it's just a thin layer. And I don't mind pink, but I was going for red, so we will of course be giving it a second layer. And looking at the second layer, it looks so much better. And I think, to be honest, I think that's perfect. We will run into a problem, but we will see that in just a second. And I am painting like all three sides of the books, so both the head and the top and the bottom sides, and the like long foredge, whatever you want to call. I guess, yeah, foredge. I guess spine is the back, so foredge. As you can see, and I'm just painting it at the same time while in the press together, because really we just need to make sure the pages are pressed tightly together so that they don't so the paint don't bleed down. Of course, like, I'm not showing all the painting I did because it's really repetitive, but I am making sure you see both sides being, like, a lot being done. And I'm trying not to use too much paint at a time so that it doesn't like soak into the pages. We don't need to just lay on top. And the problem is, of course, the paint actually sticks and makes the pages stick together, so we have to fix that by tearing the pages from each other. To be able to cut out the backing boards for these books, we have to do things in a bit of opposite direction. Normally, I would do the cutting boards and backing boards, and then I would add the details. But here we're making the frame first, and the thing is, the frame for Rule of Wolves is going to be a bit more edgy, whilst for King of Scars is going to be a bit more flowy. Of course, these pieces here are 3D printed and then, as you can see, glued together. In the future, I will probably either CNC cut the entire thing with the backing boards out of a piece of wood, or I would laser cut. But I didn't have access to either. I do now. So yeah, that's all. And now we can cut out the backing boards from, like, by using these as the sizing and as guides. Alright, when making the backing boards, all I really do is lay down the frames we just glued together, draw around them with a marker, and then we cut. It's really not that difficult. We do need 2 per book, front, back, and also we need to make sure like which one is what by looking at the nice edges. So we have the nice edges looking out. That's why I write front and back on them. And yeah, I mean, that's really all there is this piece of cardboard. So let's move to something a bit more interesting. Now that the boards are ready, it's just about putting on the frames. And as you can see, some of the frames did break, and that's because they were such small pieces glued together. And being that they're relatively smooth, it's not the best to just glue like that. So in the future, as I said, I would want to CNC mill it, or I would laser cut it out into from one giant piece. And then if I'm using CNC, I might as well CNC the entire front board, so I don't have to do any of this gluing. But here we are, and I have to do it. And so for this, after gluing them on, I put them in the press, as you can see. And the reason for that is just to ensure they stay nice and flat. And I made these guides to ensure that the middle shield cover design thing like stays where I want it. But yeah, it turned out okay, and as you see later on. So yeah, let's move on to the interesting part. Well, not really interesting. Let's move on to the spine. I'm not gonna do too much with the spine, just like it's a long strip of cardboard that I'm gonna score on the backside, and then we can glue on fake bands. That's about it. Alright, let's get to the fun leather parts. When it comes to me cutting the leather, I try to ensure that after placing the boards that I add some extra space to fold around the boards. But as we'll learn sooner or later, sooner most likely, I did not add enough, and that's because of the frame. I did not account for that extra thickness. But yeah, we are going to be using a pretty ordinary 1mm cow leather, like nothing too special about it. And it's not pre-dyed or anything. It's vegetable tan, and it's absolutely gorgeous leather, and it's wonderful to work with. But it's very normal vegetable tan because we're gonna be dyeing it, and it's not like the leather is not gonna on its own be what stand out like some other sketchbooks I've done. So just having natural vegetable tan is perfectly fine, and 1mm of course, so it's not too thick to work with. Now let's see what some of the problems we'll run into is gonna look like. And this is here where the problems start coming up. When thinning the leather, you do it to make it easier to fold over and around the backing boards, and in our case also the frames. So the problem is I am using a cheap paring knife, and I tried sharpening it, but I'm not very good at it. So it tears a lot of holes because it just gets caught in the fibers of the leather instead of just sliding through. So that's why it's gonna look so bad, and it's gonna turn out bad for both the covers. But we're gonna make it work. We're gonna finish the books because I really do wanna see how it turns out. But yeah, this is the biggest problem, and yeah, I think the main problem here is a mixture of skill and lack of sharp knives, so we're gonna have to fix that for future book projects. And our problems with the hold and not very evenly thinned leather is really visible when we want to fold in the edges. As you can see, there's just so many holes, and you can't really see it, but it's not even everywhere where the leather has actually been thinned out. Like, it's so bad. But hey, we're working with it, and I honestly think it's gonna be fine given like how this looks. I think we're gonna be okay-ish. Now, of course, folding in leather is just putting a glue on the boards and then fold the leather over and press it down. I don't know how people ensure the leather doesn't just bounce up. I think this might just be the thinning is not very good, but I don't know if it's a skill issue though. So what I tend to do is just use some cheap like clamps to just clamp the leather down and hold it until the glue dries. It usually works out pretty fine. So yeah, let's get to some forming of the leather. when it comes to all the stamps and detailing, it's going to be a mixture of folding and just this press here, and I'm just going to show this once, given it's not the most interesting part, and especially because I did not record me using the bone folding knife to actually make the details in the frame stand out. So let's get to painting, where you will see the result of the bone folding knife. So I have not really talked about the design for the covers, so let's start with the back since that's what we're looking at. The back's going to be pretty simple, it's just going to be flat with the stamped in symbol of the Grishaverse symbol thing. And we're going to be painting that red so it matches the edge coloring of our books. And I'm using these Angelus acrylic leather dye in a pen that I got from my girlfriend, and they're absolutely gorgeous, but damn, I have to practice using them. I am not the strongest. And of course, this is where the two books are going to be tied together in perfect design, because they're going to be the same. The symbols are even the same size, even though the books are not. On the spine of the two books, we will be looking at making the writing Leigh Bardugo, and then King of Scars, and then also Rule of Wolves. Like, that's gonna be it. And of course we have the raised bands, a separation going on and giving some depth to the spine, especially given the backside doesn't have a lot of depth. I feel like adding then a lot of depth to the front of the cover, and the spine will kind of make up for it, whereas the backside will then be like a relaxation point, you can almost call it. But yeah, that's we're just gonna use this red angular style for that, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. And let's paint in the rest of the cover basically. So the first part we're gonna be painting here is the cover itself, and we're just gonna make, well, yes, of course we're gonna be painting the cover. The first part we're gonna be painting is the overall everything that needs to be brown, and then we're gonna look at making the details afterwards. And I just want to highlight the front of these covers. I think they are absolutely beautiful. I honestly think that they're gonna look nice. But again, we see the hold edges, and at times it's very, very close to the frame under the leather itself that the leather is missing. And we will be able to see that, sadly. But I love the brown color. I don't like how on Rule of Wolves it gets so streaky, because the leather is way more smooth. That's from a different piece of hide than for King of Scars. So I'm not really sure what to do, because I have noticed a couple of my leathers too. It might just be the brand. So yeah. Next up we will be painting in the details close to the symbols and the text and all. And as you can see, the covers are missing some text on the front telling what book they are, and I don't think I managed to get a recording, but basically I hand painted in the names because it was supposed to be stamped in the shields, but that failed. But I think the covers turned out beautiful in that design. When it comes to the end sheets, I decided to do like both of them the same, and the very first thing I do is folding it wrong. And I do notice it in just a second, because I'm an idiot. So now we fold them back. Luckily the paper is heavy, and of course these end sheets are made by me, and I have a video on it, and I will be making another one soon, making more end sheets, because I love doing it, it's so fun. Now of course, to make sure the size is correct, I just draw around the edge like this, and then it's just cutting it basically. Like, it's so, I don't know, it felt so simple to me. And because it's just paper and not leather, the cutting is so easy to do, and it just looks so nice already. And yeah, I'm gonna do that for both of them, of course. So these, for the second one here, I just used the first one I made as a template, because like, why not? That made it so much easier, and they have to be the same size anyways. And there we go. Alright, so that's for the first of the two books. That's for King of Scars. Now the second part is adding glue, and of course, given these end sheets here has to go on a page with stuff already on them, I will only be gluing like the inner, I think it's like 1 inch to about 2 centimeters. I don't know why I default to doing inch when I'm European. I don't know. So yeah, but basically the inner like couple of centimeters will get glue here, and that should be plenty. It should be strong enough to hold the book, because you're not gonna muscle that book a lot. You're just gonna, sit with it and read, and you're gonna be holding on. You're not gonna let it just hang. And that's perfectly fine. And yeah, right now it's just laying while I'm doing the Rule of Wolves. but both Rule of Wolf and King of Scars will be added to my press and be really pressed down a lot. I won't be showing that because it takes time. And really, Rule of Wolf is kind of the same thing, except for I fold the paper correctly this time. And of course, also, like, almost correctly. I did fold it a little wonky, but we can fix it. I can fix it. There we go. And now it's making sure that I do it correctly. There we go. And the height is basically there, because Rule of Wolf is practically speaking a A4 paper. So that's pretty neat. Like, it's not a lot that needed to be removed. Well, actually, no, I'm capping here. There was quite a lot that needed to be removed. Luckily, I made enough papers. See, it's actually quite a lot. I don't know what I said. We literally just saw me fix it beforehand. Oh, well. Right. Skipping ahead a bit. We now have added in like the final piece of paper here, and we are ready for the fun part, which is after having the text box in the press. We will be adding a lot of glue. I tried to cut down on the amount of glue I use, because I tend to use too much and it makes the paper, like, this is already pretty wrinkly paper, but it makes it even more wrinkly, and I kind of want to avoid that. So, and of course, as you can see, the cover folding is not very nice, so it was really difficult making sure I placed the book correctly. So I spent a lot of time prior to this doing it, and it looks okay, I suppose you could say, but we'll survive easily. Alright, so first half done of the Rule of Wolf, and look at that. I mean, I think that looks so good though. And let's just make sure it's all pressed down and we get some shape going. As you can see, it looks good, but I'm not completely satisfied. Now, doing the other side here, it's gonna be exactly the same as the first, so we will be stepping ahead a bit again, just to, you know, not get bored. And if we look at, like, King of Scars, it's the exact same thing again, so we will be doing this. After this, there will be some shots of the finished books, and yeah, I can say now, I think I bit over more than I can chew, but I also think that is okay. Now, there we go, and yeah, that's about it. I put the books in the press, basically, after this, so not much more to do. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, leave a like in the comment, and if you want more, hit that subscribe button. That really help me out. And yeah, we're gonna be reviewing the Blood Mirror next time on channel, and I'm working on some more Magic the Gathering books, so stay tuned for that. I'm currently doing 2 of them at the same time. So yeah, my name is Lightning, and I'll be signing out. Goodbye.